Yesterday marks the 1 year since Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox News. And many people, including myself, would say he is doing better than ever since then. I've seen so many people say all over social media that they like this version of Tucker better than the Fox version. If you agree with that, let me know in the comments. Nevertheless, Tucker Carlson has, in my opinion, been a beacon of free speech in a world of lies, manipulation, and censorship.
Number of people who are totally not controlled, who are really saying what they actually believe with no weird agenda that they're not telling you about is pretty small. And I've noticed that a lot recently, particularly on the question of wokeness and free speech. There are a lot of people who are like on your side because they're for free speech. We're not actually for free speech at all. Now, like if you're for free speech, then you're just for free speech because you support the principle. The content of the speech is not that interesting to you. The fact that a sovereign human being has the right to express himself because he's not a slave, he's a citizen and a human being, like that's what matters.
However, talking about things that are taboo in our society today come at a cost. It definitely seems like today the mainstream media is trying to push a certain narrative. One that we talked about yesterday. If you haven't seen it, check out that video. It is shocking. However, saying the truth when we are constantly being fed lies sounds like you're going insane to most people. And I believe that is exactly what the mainstream media is trying to do. Tucker brings up the hard conversations. And yesterday, he did just that. He talks about racism in America, but not in the way you would think. He posted a tweet with a video attached that said this: Episode 98. There is systemic racism in the United States against whites. Everyone knows it, nobody says it. How come? This post has already gotten over 9 million views in less than 24 hours. And in the video, Tucker talks with Jeremy Carl, the author of The Unprotected Class, which is a book precisely on this topic. And they said this. Roll it.
Notice about our public conversation is how white people were so openly attacked and denigrated. Yes, a racial group. So in 1994, you were about 30 years past the civil rights movement. And in 1994, the operating assumption of virtually everyone in the United States was that the main lesson of those moments was it is immoral, in fact unacceptable, to attack people on the basis of their race. So then if you fast forward 30 years to find the same country engaged in a public hate frenzy against people because of their race, you would find that bewildering. How did this happen? You are morally defective because of your skin color. You say this about white people who founded the United States. You'd be shocked by that. And then to turn on the TV and see the president of the United States do the very same thing, you'd think maybe you'd been drinking ayahuasca.
Now all this makes me think quite a bit. This whole week we have been talking about the quote-unquote elites, which includes the CIA, FBI, and other intelligence agencies basically pulling the strings behind the curtain. They use famous journals and media outlets such as the New York Times to push a certain agenda on the masses.
Yeah, the New York Times is a conduit for the lies of government. That's what it is. It's their tool, and they're perfectly aware of that. I used to write for the New York Times as a freelancer. I've been on the New York Times a lot.
Now, it really makes you take a step back to think, why would they be pushing the narrative that white people today, who had nothing to do with the racist things decades ago, have to repay for their ancestors' sins? No country's past is perfect, including ours. That's just simple history. Racism of any kind should absolutely not be happening at all, and the fact that the mainstream media is trying to push it is very concerning. But we have to ask ourselves, as Americans, how could we have let it gone this far? Why didn't we speak out? Well, this is what they had to say about it.
I wonder why why the majority is putting up with it.
I think anybody should be putting up with it, regardless of race. I mean, we shouldn't have,
I agree.
We shouldn't be putting up with racial discrimination in our society in 2024. But I think the kind of white people, it's like a Stockholm syndrome almost, where they're like in a hostage mode in terms of some of the ways that they're thinking, where they sort of are in love with their captors, and they're not able to kind of accept what's going on. And particularly on the left, it's this sort of notion that because we, of course, like every nation, have had an imperfect past, that white people have some hereditary blood guilt. The leading kind of hypothesis I can have is that a lot of people have kind of been so brainwashed by a lot of the propaganda from the left that they're just simply not aware of some of the realities here.
Many people on social media actually commended Tucker for talking about a topic that nobody wants to talk about, especially right now. Saying something like this could have a huge blowback. But luckily, the negative side was rather minor considering the huge topic, but still there nonetheless. Earlier this morning, Elon reposted a video on his X account, and he had many words to say about it. This is what he said. Concerning. Okay, maybe he didn't have many words to say, but he did something much greater than just add his opinion. Elon has one of the biggest followings on X, and reposting that video pushed it out to millions of more people. While I was researching for this video, if I remember correctly, the original Twitter post had around 3 million views, somewhere around there. And from the time of this recording, just 2 hours after Elon reposted it, it has 9 million. So it's safe to say that Elon has done a huge part in helping Tucker Carlson and Jeremy Carl get the message out, despite directly saying something. Jeremy Carl, the author and speaker on the Tucker Carlson show we just watched, showed his appreciation by going to X and saying this: "Not gonna lie, bringing mainstream attention to this issue feels like my biggest W of the year so far. Thank you to Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson." Finally, one more very important person backed Tucker in all of this: Vivek Ramaswamy. He went to his YouTube to say this:
I find it fascinating that many conservatives are now lambasting Tucker Carlson for asking certain hard questions about narratives we've been fed by the government. Do I agree with Tucker on all of his views? Of course not. I don't agree with anybody on 100% of their views. That would be a weird thing to do. To the contrary, he's turning over rocks that haven't really been turned over, rolling over logs that deserve to be rolled over, and seeing what crawls out. Sometimes maybe there's nothing there. Is he going to have a 100% hit rate? Of course not. But I don't think it's the right thing to do, especially as conservatives who are supposed to be skeptical of the government, to criticize somebody for asking questions, and not just in an armchair way, but in a rigorous way, asking the kinds of questions that at least the American people deserve to have answers to and closure on. I think it's a good thing.
Now, a little disclaimer, Vivek wasn't directly talking about Tucker's new episode on racism on white people. However, he was talking about Tucker throughout the year since he left Fox. I personally think Vivek is 100% right. Tucker talks about the hard things that truly matter, no matter how quote-unquote correct they are. Agree or disagree, free speech is free speech, and that's what he stands for: respect. Alright everybody, that is all the news we have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, as it helps out the channel a ton. Also, let me know who else you would like featured on the show. And as always, let me know your thoughts on any of the topics we discussed today down below in the comments section. I would love to hear them. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.